You are now listening to the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Ever have that one movie everyone assumes you've seen, but you haven't? You know the one, the classic, the cult favorite, the how have you not seen that movie? Welcome to the Shameless Picture Show. Twice a month, I sit down with a guest who finally crossed one of those films off our shame lists. Sometimes it's their first watch, and sometimes it's mine. But sometimes it's new for both of us. Then we dive in, the characters, the craft, the cultural impact, and whether it actually lives up to the hype. From legendary classics to cult oddities to the films we somehow missed along the way, join us as we turn movie shame into movie discussion. This is the Shameless Picture Show.
The following podcast will contain spoilers, tangents, hot takes, and excessive foul language. Viewer discretion is advised. Enjoy the show.
Welcome back to Frightmares Podcast. I'm your host, Austin Proctor, and joining me today for episode 382 is my good friend, Michael Vyers.
Hello, I am back.
Back, I know. Back quickly. Quick turnaround on this one, because today, on the first installment of Kaijune Destroy, we're discussing our essential pick, Godzilla from 1954, a movie that showcased a guy in a rubber suit, and it has forever been iconic. Let's see where this lands on the Nightmare Index. All right, so first and foremost here, we got to talk about what we have recently watched. So what have you got about the past week or so? What have you been getting into here?
Well, let's take a look at the good old Letterboxd. Well, first off, on the 24th, we went to Dubuque, Iowa to visit Amanda's mother, and we took her to go see The Sheep Detectives. And that was a delightful fucking movie.
I love to hear it. Just unexpectedly good.
Yeah, like it's unexpectedly great.
Oh, okay.
Like, right. I went in with very low expectations. I was expecting a cute, like, whodunit movie with sheep. And wow, the movie... Do you know what this movie's about?
I did read the synopsis after you had mentioned it, and I was like, that does sound kind of silly. But
yeah, so for those of listening at home, this is not a horror movie, but well, there's murder in the movie, so whatever. Hugh Jackman plays a shepherd, and he lives a nice, simple life. And every night he reads mystery detective novels to his sheep. Well, one night he is found murdered most foul. And the sheep take it upon themselves to see if they can solve the murder who killed their shepherd. And it's really cute, but I was not expecting like ruminations on faith and existential questions about life.
Oh, okay.
Hold on, there's a review I want to read for you real quick from person that I really like. Their reviews. Justin LaLiberty from Vinegar Syndrome said, "Not me having an existential crisis during the talking sheep whodunit surprise of the year so far." And that's how I felt watching it. I was like, holy shit. I was not expecting to feel things.
That's always the best. It's like when you're going into this movie, not expecting, just like turn your brain off. This will be funny. You're like, oh God, now I'm feeling. How did we get here? What's happening?
Yes. And then my surprise pick of the week, I watched Sam Raimi's A Simple Plan. This is the movie he did right after Quick and the Dead. He had a 3-film run of A Simple Plan, For Love of the Game, and The Gift, which are like 3 dramas that he directed before he got the job for Spider-Man. And this movie stars Billy Bob Thornton and Bill Paxton. It is an incredible movie about these Midwestern, just everymen who find $4 billion in cash on a downed airplane and try to see if they can keep it without anyone finding the money.
This sounds really familiar. I feel like someone has brought this up to me recently because that sounds extremely familiar. What's it called again?
It's called A Simple Plan.
That sounds familiar. I mean, you had me with Paxton and Billy Bob Thornton. I was already in.
They're great. Billy Bob Thornton especially. Like, Billy Bob Thornton is transcendent as this character. I forgot I was watching Billy Bob Thornton.
Wow. Okay. All right. Two movies I got to watch now.
And then I watched Scream 7. Fuck this fucking movie. I know, and you know me, I'm not normally this aggressive.
You even said that to me when I told you about it. I was like, it is fuck awful. And you're like, whoa, you're never like that upfront about movies. I'm like, dude, it's bad. It's it's bad.
Kevin Williamson, I have a lot of respect for this man. He's got a really interesting story about how he kind of made it in Hollywood. I think his story is really interesting. He wrote Scream 1. He wrote all the Screams. No, he wrote 1, 2, and 4 and 7. I love Scream 1 and 2. I even love Scream 3. I Know What You Did Last Summer is a movie. And I'm unapologetically a big fan of Dawson's Creek. But goddamn, this movie is bad. Like, I understand they brought him on to write it. I don't know why they brought him on to direct it. He's only directed one other fucking film before, and let's just give the fucking franchise to this guy. Like, I get it, it's his franchise, but like, I truly believe Wes Craven was the heart of this fucking franchise, and had he not directed that first movie, I don't know if it would have been what it is. This movie pissed me off in every way, shape, or form. Like, it's one thing. So first off, they can't continue. So let me just start off by saying, sorry, I've opened up a fucking thing.
You're good.
I didn't like Scream 5 and 6. I thought they were fine.
Okay, fair enough.
I thought Scream 5, just like, okay, we're just doing everything all over again, and we're exploring the same themes that Scream 4, I thought, did better. Well, whatever, okay. I didn't really have a deep connection to Marissa Barrera. Like, I didn't think she was good nor bad. She just, she was fine. She was fine. I personally am not a big Jenna Ortega person. I just don't get her appeal very much.
She's oversaturated at this point, and she's just in everything.
Like, I actually thought bringing back like Dewey and them that worked pretty well for me, but I just didn't care about the story because I just felt like they were just doing everything that we did in Scream 4 and almost pretending like Scream 4 didn't exist. I liked Scream 6 better, surprisingly, but did really feel like it was missing the Neve Campbell of it all. This one, they decided just to back up the fucking Brinks truck to Neve Campbell's house and get her. And so anyone listening out there, if this is spoiler territory, I don't give a shit. They brought back Neve Campbell, cool. Courtney Cox, I really thought she died in the last film.
I thought she did too, and I was really expecting her to die in this film. They're not, like, you got to kill off the main person at this point. You can't just keep these people around forever. I mean, Neve Campbell, sure, but like, I really thought Courtney Cox's character was going. She also has no business being in this movie. There's no reason for her to be here.
Yes. Hold on, and I gotta read something to you real quick because it made me laugh. I remember Googling, was like, wait, how did Gale Weathers survive Scream 6? And it said, well, Gale Weathers simply did not die in Scream 4.
Gee, thank you.
Thanks, Google.
Appreciate it.
This movie felt like it was actively commenting. This movie felt like the horror film that the last 2 Scream films were actively commenting on.
Scream has literally come full circle and is now stabbed. Like, honestly.
Yeah. It's not, like, none of the kills were really all that interesting or fun. And a film critic I really like named Adam Naiman. This joke is only going to be funny for your Simpsons listeners out there. He says Williamson has gotten himself into the completely stranded, let's say it's Moe territory.
All right, for any Simpsons fans out there, I hope you enjoyed that laugh.
And then also just like this movie it feels like old man screaming at the clouds, because it just feels like Kevin Williamson knows that AI is a hot button topic, but doesn't really know how to discuss it or include it in his film. And then I need to talk about Matthew Lillard. He's fucking awful in this movie. Yeah,
he's not great. He's really not good. And I love Matthew Lillard. Like
I love Matthew Lillard as well, and his performance is fucking god awful.
It just felt forced.
It did.
It really felt forced. I wanted him to come back and be the villain in 5 just because, like, it doesn't make sense. I don't give a shit. Like, I wanted it in 5, and then they bring him back for 7, and I'm like, I legitimately don't care at this point anymore. I don't fucking care.
Ethan Embry's just there for some reason. Like, this is a god-awful movie, and I'm not normally this aggro, but if there's anyone out there who's like, oh, yeah, this movie legitimately kicks ass, I feel for you.
Yeah, I do too.
You need more positive media in your life.
I did this is exactly why I stray away from negative reviews unless I have
to.
Right, unless I'm sent something or unless I get a screener or a movie or whatever. I stray away from this, and I did this review saying all my problems, and I mean, I got a lot of attention from it, but it's like, that's not the attention I want. I don't want attention of people in my comments being like, oh, well, you're wrong, this movie was great, oh, blah, blah. Like, I don't want that attention. Like, I got a lot of traction from that video, but not in the ways I wanted to. I couldn't believe how many people I irritated with me saying that Scream was a bad movie. It literally has the worst ratings of every Scream movie in the franchise.
Objectively the worst. This movie is objectively the worst of the franchise.
Yeah.
And as I said, I'm not a big fan of Scream 5 and 6. I just feel like they weren't necessary and they had nothing to say. And maybe would have felt differently if they could have completed their story. But let's be real, I was not that big into Marissa Barrera being the fucking daughter of Billy Loomis. Just that was also fucking stupid.
Yeah. That was weird.
But this movie was so bad it made me like 5 and 6 more.
So if anything good came out of it, there's that, you know.
Yeah.
All right.
And then I'll wrap up my last two pretty quickly. I took Amanda to the theater and we watched Fern Gully: The Last Rainforest.
Nice.
Yeah, they were showing the new 4K restoration of the film, and there's a Q&A with the director afterwards because apparently he lives in Milwaukee.
Oh shit!
Yeah, so I'm gonna get him on the podcast.
Amazing.
He used to do effects for Tron, and I've never seen Tron, so I pitched him. Let's talk about Tron.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay, and what else you got?
And then and this is a movie that you liked that I did not. I watched Until Dawn.
Oh, okay, yeah. Gotcha.
I love the Until Dawn video game. I love the Dark Anthology video game franchise. Let's be real. There's some fun stuff in this movie. There's some fun kills, but ultimately it feels like, Austin, you've been to a lot of haunted house attractions.
Mm-hmm.
This movie feels like a haunted house attraction in a movie. Like, you're just going from different room to different room that don't quite make sense, but they're trying to transition them. Everyone just feels like they're wearing a costume, and I don't know why the Wendigo look like fucking Evil Dead demons. That's not what Wendigo are supposed to look like.
No.
Like, don't get me wrong. There's some fun stuff in here. The entire sequel, once again, spoiler for anyone who hasn't seen this movie. I don't care if I'm spoiling shit for you at this point. The bathroom scene where everyone's exploding was the best part of the entire film.
That was great because that just reminded me of Ready or Not, but that came out of nowhere.
Love people exploding.
People just exploding for no reason is great.
It's really funny. But ultimately, I just really did, like, it was a fun ride when I was watching it, but it kind of feels like eating popcorn, where it didn't do much for me. Like, I was enjoying it well enough, but I'm never going to think about this movie again, and it actually makes me question David F. Sandberg's career a little bit.
Hey now, don't be wait a second now. He's done some great work. Don't let
What has he done?
He's done Annabelle Creation.
It's fine.
Oh, okay. Lights Out.
It's okay.
All right, then never mind.
And I really did not like Shazam.
Oh yes, yeah, I haven't seen those.
Once again, his entire I feel bad. I don't know. He seems like a really nice guy. I've listened to him podcasts. All of his films have been fine. Nothing he has made has I don't think any of his films have above 3 stars for me. Every one of his films is 3 stars or lower.
Okay, well then that makes sense. I've watched a lot, but I'm only going to focus on 2 of them because they're my cult movie challenges. I did see a new movie for this year called Heresy. Don't let the 2024 release date fool you. It is a Dutch film, and it wasn't released in the States until May 1st.
Where'd you tell me about this movie? It's on Shudder,
It's on Shudder. And fun fact, I am Dutch, and the only Dutch movie I've ever seen, I said I hadn't seen a Dutch movie in my TikTok on this, but I've seen one Dutch movie called Moloch, which was a masterpiece. This one was also a masterpiece, gave it a 4.5. It was dripping with just religious paranoia, and there's this ethereal being in these forbidden, fucking so good. 4.5.
Right. Yeah, next time I get Shudder, I'm gonna have to check that out.
And it's only 62 minutes, so it's like a breeze.
We both love some fucking short ass cinema.
Yeah, this movie weighs 0. If anything, I wanted a little bit more, but that's not a problem. Watch Kraken for this year. It was a fun creature feature, nothing groundbreaking, although I do like seeing a Kraken because outside of Pirates of the Caribbean, I don't think we've ever had a movie centered around a Kraken. 3 out of 5. They had a lot of weird exposition, some pacing issues, but then when the monster is revealed, I was like, that's fucking sick. So 3 out of 5 for that. Saw Passenger, finally. I can't believe this movie has a 2.3 out of 5 on Letterboxd. I get the lore issues. I get that the passenger isn't fully explained. Totally get it. Such creative jump scares, some of the best camera work I've seen this year. Great premise, great setup, great ending. 4 stars. I don't unapologetically love that movie.
And this was called Passenger. I've seen people talking about this film.
Yeah, it's in theaters now. I'm apparently in the very small minority who loved it, but I really enjoyed it. Here are my 2 cult movie challenges. The Oily Maniac, finally watched it. Shaw Brothers Week for the Cult Movie Challenge. A little too rapey and sexploitation-y for me.
Yeah, that's always tough. When was this movie made?
76. So it's right in that era.
It's funny. I have a general blanket rule when me and Amanda watch a genre film from the 70s. And I was like, there is a higher than normal probability that there is going to be some sort of sexual violence or assault in this film. It's always a pleasant surprise when there's not.
Right.
But I always give her the blanket warning. It's like, this is a movie from the 1970s. I do not know what to expect out of this film. Same thing when we watch a movie from the 30s through pretty much 90s. I'm like, there could be some. This movie might be racist.
Might be racist. Might be misogynistic.
Yeah. So.
But other than that, it was fun. This obviously directly inspired The Greasy Strangler. This guy literally gets drenched in oil, goes out and kills people to get revenge. It's a lot of fun effects, fun monster. 3.5 stars. I'm writing my review now on it. You can check that out on Letterboxd. And then my other cult movie challenge was USA Up All Night or some shit.
That was USA Up All Night was a show that was on. It was like a Joe Bob Briggs type thing on USA Network.
Okay, so I watched God Told Me To, directed by Larry Cohen. Oh my God, what a fucking film, dude! Holy shit, blew my dick off.
Blew your dick off.
Blew my dick off, just straight off.
God Told Me To is fucking incredible. It was the one. God Told Me To and Q the Winged Serpent are the 1-2 punch that made me realize that I fucking love Larry Cohen. Yeah,
Larry Cohen is a legend. This movie, I don't want to get into too much of it because it's the title is it's like the theme of the movie, but 4.5, brilliant film. I love the ending as well. It's so good. So I don't want to speak too much on it. Writing my review for that one now. And then I'll end with Voyage of the Rock Aliens, which is one of the most greatest 80s movies of all fucking time.
I forgot you were watching.
Oh, the greatest soundtrack. Just ridiculous comedy.
if this is any of your listeners' first time listening to me on an episode, this is more so what I'm normally like. I'm not normally so aggro like it was. I'm normally like, hey, I love movies.
Well, yeah, and we're going to talk about a movie that I know you love. So that's all I've watched. Definitely check out Voyage of the Rock Aliens if you love cheesy, campy movies with just thumping soundtracks. It is such a good soundtrack. You can watch it on Tubi. But that's all I've watched this week. Caught up with the Cult Movie Challenge. Let's go into the body count here. All right, where's my mouse? There it is. Come on, mouse. Work with me here. All right, so this is Godzilla from 1954, released on April 27th, 1956 in the States, but retitled, heavily edited Americanized version titled Godzilla King of the Monsters. The Japan release was not rated. There's no sex and nudity, no moderate violence and gore, mild profanity, mild alcohol, drugs, and smoking, and severe fighting and intense scenes. I get that for 1954. Runtime of an hour and 36 minutes.
Yeah, some of the images in this movie are pretty frightening.
Surprisingly listed as a horror sci-fi. I wasn't sure how many of these kaiju movies we were doing this month were actually going to be horror, but this one is. Directed by Ishiro Honda, who also, he directed like 30 fucking kaiju films. I do my rule of three. He did Rodan as well. He did Mothra, and he did King Kong versus Godzilla. He's done a lot of kaiju films. Written by Shigeru Kayama, who also wrote Half Human and Gigantus the Fire Monster. Also written by Takeo Murata. He wrote Godzilla Raids Again, Half Human, and Gigantus the Fire Monster. And then Ishiro Honda wrote this as well. Didn't write a lot of the movies that he directed, but he did write The War of the Gargantuas and Destroy All Monsters, composed by Akira Ifukube, who also composed King Kong vs. Godzilla, Mothra vs. Godzilla, and Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster. Cinematography by Masao Tamai, and despite his 97 credits, he did not do one other Godzilla film, which I find crazy. Edited by Kazuji Taira. This is the first editing credit they have. They also did Godzilla Raids Again, Gigantus the Fire Monster, and Mothra, starring Akira Takarada as Hiroto Ogata. He has 159 credits. He was also in Half Human, Mothra vs. Godzilla, and Invasion of the Astro Monster.
Oh, that's my favorite of the Godzilla movies.
Invasion of the Astro Monster?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I need to see that one. It comes up a lot here in the next few minutes, so I already put it on my list. We've got Momoko Kochi as Imiko Yaman. She was also in Half Human and Godzilla versus Destoroya. Okay, it's Destroya. There we go. We have Akihiko Hirati as Dr. Daisuke Serizawa with 159 credits. He was also in Rodan, the H-Man, and Mothra. Takashi Shimura as Dr. Kyohi Yaman. He has 354 credits. Also in Godzilla Raids Again, Gigantus the Fire Monster, and Mothra. And then finally we have Fuyuki Murakama as Professor Tanabe. He was also in Rodan and Invasion of the Astro Monster. Budget of $900,000, which that's pretty high for 1954, I'd like to think.
Now Curry Barker just burns that money.
But yeah...
shoots a movie in a week.
Worldwide box office gross, I don't think this is accurate, but it's 500 and maybe was it 500? It says 592.8K, but that doesn't make sense because they said that this was I read that this was a success. So maybe that was just in the maybe that wasn't including the international markets, because this, you know what, I know what it is, because this isn't accounting for the Americanized version. This is only so that's what this is. It's only accounting for this version, not the Americanized version, and then not the Italian version from 1977 that we talked about on Contamination, directed by Luigi Kazi. So, movie was filmed in Tobai, Tokyo, and Toho Studios, all in Japan. You can watch this on Cinemax, the Criterion Channel, HBO Max, and Plex. I can confirm that HBO Max, because I was curious, it is the Criterion version. So that's fun. Movies that came out around the same time, we have The Searchers, The Killing, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the original, The Man Who Knew Too Much, Forbidden Planet, and The King and I. Yeah, good year.
Good year.
Good year. IMDb summary, after a dinosaur-like beast awoken from undersea hibernation by atomic bomb testing ravages Tokyo, a scientist must decide if his similarly dangerous weapon should be used to destroy it. Here comes your favorite sound. Let's go into the autopsy.
Gross.
Ew. All right, Michael. You're a fan of this movie. You've seen this movie. What are your overall thoughts for Godzilla 1954?
I think this movie is just absolutely incredible. Like, so it's a movie that when I probably first saw this one, and funny enough, so I'm gonna take it back. Let's go back.
Let's go back. Let's just go back
in time to when I was single digits in age.
Strapping young lad.
Yeah, I had a friend down the block who was a big fan of Godzilla. And he's a big fan of James Bond, which are two of the things that are really coded into my DNA at this point. And he's what got me into them. And big part of that is because he used to have these tapes his parents would tape off television, or more than likely they went down to Bucky Super Video, got the movies, and then just duped them.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
And they always had tapes that was always double features of Godzilla and James Bond movies. Have a weird connection with the two together. And I don't know if I ever saw the original Japanese version until relatively recently. I feel like I saw Godzilla King of Monsters growing up, and I remember liking it. But honestly, it was when it. I don't know if I would have appreciated this film fully when I was younger, because this is just an incredible film. It's very different than the rest of the franchise, which is probably why I might not have vibed with it when I was younger, because I was used to, the version of Godzilla where he is the protector of Japan. And in this one, he is Japan's fucking terror.
Yeah.
But I absolutely love this movie. I remember the effects that were done by E.G. Tsuburaya. His work was really influential to me and made me really just love this look of miniatures. And he was one of the first people to do what's known now, like I think he calls it like suitmation.
Suitmation, yes.
Yeah, where it's people in these fucking suits destroying things. He would later on go on and make Ultraman, which I'm also a huge fan of.
Okay.
So yeah, I love this movie, and it's so dour, and it's surprising that it launched such a franchise, because Godzilla -1 is also a dour movie, but that is a lot more fun than this is. And that's not to say this is like I'm not using that as a negative. It's just a different way that they're presenting the content.
I 100% agree. Yeah. So this is my first time watching the original Godzilla, and I'm not necessarily mixed on it. I loved the movie, and this is one of those times where it's like we're gonna have to talk about it, and get to the end so I can kind of hone in my rating here. But I mean, I was absolutely impressed that this is a 72-year-old movie, and the things they were doing.
Some of those effects.
The miniatures were great. The giant rubber suit was great. The humanity aspect of it, where it's really focused on what these people are going through. It is a very good movie, and I don't really have many issues with it, honestly. So it's probably going to be close to a perfect rating. But conversation, especially since I don't know much about the original God. I did do a lot of research though, and I have a lot of fun stuff to talk about, which is going to be because when I don't know stuff, I research it, and then I educate anybody who might not know. So
that's the way to do it, my friend.
So I did love this movie, and I would love to start with the history of kaiju, since this is the first episode, kind of get this out of the way. But the term kaiju actually comes from Japanese culture, of course, translates to strange beast or monster. It is a combination of two characters, kai, meaning strange and mysterious, and ju, meaning beast or animal. The term kaiju has been used in Japanese culture for a long time to refer to various mythological creatures, legendary monsters, and supernatural beings. But in the context of cinema, kaiju specifically refers to giant monsters that are prominent, that that are a prominent feature of Japanese monster movies, particularly those of Toho Studios, which is famous for creating the iconic kaiju Godzilla, Mothra, Rodan. So this is where I learned a lot of stuff that was very interesting to me. Obviously, I knew the impact of World War II and what it had, but the first giant monster movie is actually kind of debatable because there's a 1921 animated short called The Pet, and it features a giant monster attacking in a city. And then there's the 1925 silent film, The Lost World, which is a dinosaur being brought to the streets of London, which inspired the creators to make King Kong in 1933. And then there were a few Japanese-style monster movies using suitmation in the early 30s. YC Kingu Kongu, 1933, The Great Buddha Arrival, 1934, and The King Kong that appeared in Edo, 1938. So those were like the first early iterations of the I guess genre, if you want to call it. But then everything shifts after World War II. You know, the roots of the giant movie monsters go from prehistoric monsters to monsters stemming from animals which had been exposed to radiation, much like Godzilla, and then mutated.
It is also worth mentioning, too, that it became kind of, you know, obviously here in the States, we didn't call them kaiju films.
Correct.
We had our own series of, like, radioactive creatures, giant creatures, sometimes women who are just giant and destroying things.
Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. But this is probably the most interesting part of my research that I found. So one of the earliest prolific examples is Ray Bradbury's short story published in the Saturday Evening Post, June 23rd, 1951, called The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. It came to serve as the basis for the film of the same name from 1953, featuring a fictional dinosaur called Rhedosaurus, animated by Ray Harryhausen, which is released from its frozen hibernating state by an atomic bomb test within the Arctic Circle. And the American movie was released in Japan in 1954 under the title The Atomic Kaiju Appears, making this the first use of the genre's name in a film. And it is claimed to have inspired Godzilla in 1954, which blew my mind because I thought these giant monsters were a wholly original Japanese idea, but it seems that someone from America inspired, you know, to like someone from Toho Studio, or, you know, whoever created Toho Studios to do their own. And I thought that was backwards.
It's interesting.
It's very interesting.
If you ever get around to watching that documentary series I told you about, the story of film and Odyssey, it's the first couple episodes are about, like, I don't think you even get into the sound era until episode 4, and it's talking about the creation of film. And so for those of you who may or may not know, film was, for all intents and purposes, created in France by the Lumiere brothers. They're the ones who are also credited as having some of the first recognizable movies of all time. And France was a pretty influential place for cinema because you had the Lumiere brothers, you had Georges Méliès, more filmmakers I can't even think of right now. And then eventually it did make its way to the United States with Thomas Edison.
Okay.
He had a lot of experiments that he was doing with film. And what's truly interesting about it, though, and you'll find this out when you watch this, is not even in like a look how important we are type of way. There was as Hollywood started taking over or started becoming a thing, and then you had the silent films, because the beautiful thing about silent film is no one knew where most of this stuff was coming from. When names like Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin and these silent filmmakers were really taking off, they were inspiring people from all around the world. So there is a trend of American films inspiring foreign film, but then just in the same way, the things that they were doing in Japan was also influencing American filmmakers. Like, it's not uncommon to see a Western that's taking themes and plot lines from some of the Japanese samurai films that Kurosawa was making.
Okay.
So there is or the French New Wave was all about how these French filmmakers were influenced off of American cinema. So yeah, it's like this interesting symbiosis
Yeah.
going on. Sorry, that was a little bit of a tangent.
No, but it fit perfectly just because I usually it's the other way around. We do the remakes of all these foreign films, but I found it interesting. So in 1954, Tanaka, a producer for Toho Studios in Tokyo, needed a film to release after his previous project was halted. Seeing how well the Hollywood giant monster movie genre films King Kong and the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms had done in the Japanese box offices, and himself a fan of these, he set out to create a new movie based on them and created Godzilla. He aimed to combine Hollywood giant monster movies with re-emerged Japanese fears of atomic weapons that arose from the March 1954 Castle Bravo nuclear testing incident, which resulted in the spread of radioactive fallout over the vast area of the Pacific Ocean, including Japanese, I can't pronounce this one, Japanese Daigo Fukuyura Muru fishing boat. Sorry if I'd...
I think it's like the, its name is something like Lucky Dragon number 5.
So...
Translated. Yes, that... Oh, and on the Criterion disc that you watch, there is an animated comic that runs through the history of that boat because it is important to the story of Godzilla.
I assume that's on the Blu-ray then, because I saw no special features on the 4K.
Yeah, I think it's on the Blu-ray.
So okay.
Copy in.
So with this history in mind, Tanaka put a team together, created the concept of a giant radioactive creature emerging from the depths of the ocean, and this would become Godzilla. And of course, there's these eras of the Godzilla movies. Since we are in what is the Showa era, I will cover that one now, and then when we get into other eras during the month, I will cover those then. So this is the era that we're in is the Showa era. It is from 1954 to 1975. It's a kind of a dark Cold War allegory transitioning into campy fun, kid-friendly superheroes. I say the death of it, but the series was placed on hiatus again after the box office failure of Terror of Mechagodzilla in 1975, and despite several attempts by Toho to continue the series, another Godzilla film would not be introduced until 9 years later in 1984, thus began what would later be known as the, is it Heisei? Heisei.
Yeah, I've always pronounced it.
Yeah.
And it is worth mentioning in case anyone out there is listening and has heard these terms like the Heisei era, the Showa era, and like, what the fuck does that mean? That relates to Japanese history, and it relates to which emperor was ruling Japan at the time. So
yes.
The Showa era has to do with Emperor Showa, I think he was like from the 20s to like the late 80s. I don't remember the exact dates.
And it's funny because I just thought those were the studios involved. No, it's Toho is done they're the ones in charge of it. So that's where we're in right now. We are in the Showa era, and the 1954 Godzilla starts that off. So let's get into the movie here, because I love how this wastes no time. This movie gets right into it. I mean, these guys are out at sea. There's no storm. There's no ships. It's just calm water, and then everybody fucking explodes into this flash of light. And then another ship disappears with no explanation, no clue what's going on. And you have to remember, this is 1954. Nobody knew what the fuck a Godzilla was yet.
No, exactly. And it's best to try to watch, and easier said than done, but it is best to try to watch this movie by forgetting everything you know about Godzilla.
Well, and that's what I found interesting, because even though I obviously know about Godzilla, it didn't take away from the tension or the mystery for me at all. It really didn't. Which I find fascinating, because I think it still works 70 years later.
Yeah,
and
they really take their time to even show us Godzilla for the first time.
I mean, you do get Godzilla, his head, peeking over the hill at about 22 minutes in, but then after that, it takes a long time to see him fully formed coming out of the ocean, because other shots are him just kind of popping out of the ocean. But the movie doesn't waste any time. It gets right into it. And I really, really love that. For an hour and 36-minute movie, I figured there would be a lot of exposition, a lot of build-up. But the pacing on this is weirdly good, just because of how they reveal the monster throughout the movie, and how the people that are seeing this monster are reacting to said monster. It's very well paced.
Yeah, it does something interesting, too, because it does this micro becomes macro type of deal,
mm-hmm.
where we start off on this small village,
Odo Island.
Yeah, Odo Island. We start off on this small island. And what is interesting, too, especially because what just Japanese culture is like, up until like helicopters and cars show up, like you don't even 100% know when this film takes place because like people are still dressed in a very traditional, like what you'd expect to see out of like classical like Japanese cinema. It starts off in this small little thing, and what I also love, and Godzilla -1 brought this back, where there was almost like this folkloric element to it, where it's like they knew what Godzilla, they have a creature known as Godzilla in their folklore on this island, and since they don't know what else to call this thing, that's just what they refer to it as. And at first it's like you feel like, oh, this is going to be a really small little thing. But then as the Japanese government gets involved, it starts becoming more widespread. And I think that's just a really interesting way it feels like a really small personal story at the beginning, even though it's about a giant monster. And then it becomes something bigger.
And what I really love about Godzilla -1 is that they use Odo Island in the beginning of the film, which is really cool. But yeah, so you have Odo Island. And there's this one guy, one single solitary guy on the island who was like, it's Godzilla. And I was like, wait a second. Godzilla already exists in this universe? Because it's really just more of like a legend at this point.
Yeah,
but
and that's what Godzilla -1 also does.
Yeah, and I love that because according to the island legend, whenever the fish started, Godzilla would eat all the fish, and then after all the fish disappeared, they would like send off this young woman on in a raft to like, appease the gods or whatever. And I thought that was so interesting. So before he became like this scientific mystery, he was folklore. He was a monster. He was a warning like passed down through generations. And no one believed this guy on the island until they had a reason to believe him because he's now showing up. So I didn't expect that. And it added such a really deep layer for me. Like, oh, how they're telling the story is so much different than I thought. I didn't think anybody knew what Godzilla was. I thought everybody would be experiencing this for the first time. And while that is the case for most of Tokyo, it is not the case for Odo Island and the guy who was adamant about Godzilla being a thing. It's just an incredible, effective piece of world building because it makes Godzilla immediately just feel ancient, which I think is the intention here. So I thought that was great.
It's beautifully done in that way, and the setup for this film is so interesting. And like I said, they give you little brief looks and glances at Godzilla, but we don't get like the full on Godzilla shit until like later on in the film. And I think that's a really smart way to do it. Also, if you don't mind me throwing out a very nerdy little reference for the maybe like 3 listeners who might get this,
please do.
So there's a scene in this film where there's these 2 men who are on top of a mountain, and I think it was near the beginning, really close to the beginning of the film, and one of them is screaming. They're screaming because there's people in the water. You remember really at the beginning, like right at the beginning of Odo Island, and I can't speak Japanese, but he says something that like he's screaming like it, and I was like, why does it sound familiar? Why do I know this? For all of you professional wrestling fans, for some reason, the pro wrestler Scotty 2 Hotty had his theme song when he was a singles wrestler samples a little bit of one of those old men yelling, and I don't know why, but it's in there.
That's incredible. Why did you do that? I don't know. It's just in there.
Here, you want me to play it for you?
I kind of want to hear it. Yeah, if you can pull that up and play it, yes. I'd love to hear it. That
was the old man screaming at the beginning of Godzilla.
That's hilarious. Okay.
Why it's there? I have no idea.
Sometimes you don't need an explanation. It's just meant to be. I love that.
37 seconds into the Scotty 2 Hotty singles theme. Not when he was part of Too Cool, but when he was just Scotty 2 Hotty as a singles wrestler.
Wow. I love it. All right, so we've talked about the brief appearances in the beginning. I feel like a lot of monster movies from the era Might have stretched the reveal out a little bit longer, but I mean, the next 30 minutes are spent teasing footprints and shadows and all this stuff with Godzilla, and then they also waste little time explaining what's going on. The repeated H-bomb testing has driven this ancient creature from his sanctuary. His body has been altered. He emits radiation. They estimate him to be 165 feet tall, which is really cool. And now humanity suddenly finds itself dealing with a force it created, technically, but cannot control, because he's not really invading. Humanity just kind of woke him up and pissed him off, and now he's kind of out for blood.
Yeah,
all this fucking H-bomb testing. So it's I couldn't imagine being a prehistoric monster taking a nap and suddenly, someone starts testing nuclear weapons in your backyard. I'd be pretty pissed as well, too. So once the film establishes that, it begins exploring a pretty interesting conflict, science versus destruction. Everybody in the film wants to kill this thing, and which is understandable. He's leveling cities. I get it. But I love I think his name was Professor Yamane. He takes a completely different position. He's like, we need to study this. He finds it he finds him fascinating. And the film doesn't really portray him as foolish or evil. He just sees Godzilla as this scientific miracle, and he's like the only.
I believe he even says somewhere in the movie, it's like, here's a creature that was able to survive nuclear radiation. Why wouldn't we want to test that and figure out how we can protect ourselves?
Yeah, something along those lines.
Yeah,
it's like this is like a scientific anomaly. It's a creature that survived something humanity assumed nothing could. Mm-hmm. So to him, it's not a monster. It is a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. And honestly, he's not wrong. And I think the film creates a pretty new, a nuanced debate, surprisingly nuanced debate, because yes, Godzilla is dangerous, but but destroying him also means destroying knowledge. So it's like, what do we do here?
Yeah, and like you said before, he's not evil. He's just a creature reacting.
Yeah, he is a creature.
He's not intentionally going after Tokyo. Tokyo's just in his fucking path.
Exactly. It is in his path of destruction.
And probably, if he's destroying things, it's because he's frustrated. He's probably scared, pissed off. Like, hey, it's my dog Bubby. Like, it's Vinny. This is how he reacts. Yeah. I also need to point out, not that we're just going to keep talking about Godzilla -1. I do love how many visual references there are to this original Godzilla in -1, like that scene of Godzilla holding the train in his mouth and shit.
Yes.
They are very clearly pulling from this movie.
And now that I've seen the original, I plan to, as soon as I can, watch Godzilla -1 again, because I love that movie, and see how much I recognize now from the original. So yeah, there's a lot of layers going to this movie that I didn't expect. It's one of the first examples of the franchise asking whether humanity's instinct to destroy something frightening might prevent us from understanding it, and it's a very, very interesting point that they use. And of course, eventually that debate becomes irrelevant because Godzilla decides Tokyo looks extremely flammable. And I really think that third act is that's where this movie really shines, because the devastation he is causing on Tokyo is insane. I mean, there's fire everywhere, and I found it interesting because he does breathe fire in this, but it's 1954. It's probably a little harder to do, so it's more kind of like a mist. But once that mist hits something, it catches on fire.
I think it's supposed to be like a radiation blast, and I love that even in this old one, canonically, his spines light up before he blasts anything, which is just really cool.
Did they light up?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, I must have missed that. Okay.
I will say it's a little hard to see just because it's dark design, and probably how they used to do things like that was they had to film it, and then they had to essentially take another piece of film, paint on top of it, and then print it twice, so sometimes they can get a little muddied.
Yeah, okay. So I guess I missed that, but and it's interesting, right? Because it's exciting for us as the viewers kind of watching this destruction. But for the people there, it's not exciting. It's not triumphant. It isn't some spectacle. It's horrifying. I mean, buildings are collapsing. Fires are spreading. Families are becoming separated. children are crying, people are dying, hospitals are overflowing. I really love how much they focused on the human impact that Godzilla is affecting, because that's what separates this one from many that come later, because a lot of them, especially the MonsterVerse ones, right? Everyone complained that Godzilla, King of Monsters, focused too much on the humans. Or no, sorry. Godzilla 2014, they were like, there's too many humans, not enough Godzilla. So they're like, all right, fine. Fucking King of Monsters, here's 17 Godzilla monsters.
I've had the same rant.
Like, there's too many monsters, there's not enough humans. Like, no one's ever fucking happy. But this one, I feel, is very equal. I feel like this one's very equal, where it focuses on Godzilla. They don't overuse him and make him less effective, but they also make sure to focus on different people in the story and how they're being affected by him. And because I think the movie makes you want to feel the loss and the helplessness, like the overwhelming realization that humanity cannot stop what is happening until we get that third act reveal, which is really cool. From the doctor, how do you say his name again? Serizawa.
Daisuke Serizawa.
Great name. But before we get there, I mean, we got to talk about the effects. We kind of touched on them earlier, but the miniatures, let's be honest, everybody knows it's a guy in a rubber suit, but who cares? The miniature work is fantastic. For a movie that's 70 years old, the scale achieved here is like genuinely impressive. The city feels tangible. The destruction feels physical. Like, I was so blown away by how just real this felt. It's so good.
It's so different than, say, something like King Kong, which I love the original King Kong, and it has some surprisingly good stop motion effects for the time period.
Oh, that's right, it does.
Yeah, it's all stop motion. King Kong is all just entirely a stop motion creature.
I know they avoided that in this. I can't remember the reason. I might have trivia on it, but they avoided the stop motion in this because I think they said it was just going to cost too much. Something like that.
Surprised. But like, what this also did is this created a whole other, essentially, genre of itself called tokusatsu. Ooh. Which is it's a film and television that uses heavy practical special effects. So it's not always necessarily about giant monsters, but like Ultraman would fit into that.
Okay.
Or Godzilla and Gamera, obviously. Kamen Rider, Super Sentai, which is what Power Rangers essentially is based on.
Okay.
Because Power Rangers, what they used to do is they used to get footage from Japan from this TV show called Super Sentai, take all the action sequences, and then just insert their own. Essentially, what they did with Godzilla, the King of Monsters, the Americanized version, and just use all of their monster fighting and everything. So that Eiji Tsuburaya, who is the effects guy in this movie, is iconic for that reason.
Okay.
He just really made a career off of this, and was a really just fascinating effects artist, and one that, like, he's very popular in Japan, but he's not known over here in the way that, say, like a Tom Savini or like K&B Effects are. And I think he's he's incredibly iconic.
I was gonna say he might even be more prolific than some of the people we have over here. And to your point, I mean, you can feel the craftsmanship here, and I think that train sequence is a great example. Watching Godzilla collide with the train combines miniatures with live action inserts beautifully. Like, there's panic inside the train that sells the human perspective, and then the miniatures like kind of sell the scale. I did think he was gonna crunch the train, but I wasn't mad when he didn't, because I was like, it's 1954. I can't expect greatness.
Yeah. But most of the time when I'm watching this film, I'm like, I'm impressed they're able to accomplish any of this in 1954.
Exactly. That's what I kept hearkening back to when I was watching this. Like, oh, that was underwhelming. Hey, it's 1954. This is wildly impressive for the time. So that, I love that train sequence. I thought that was really good. And I do remember that in Godzilla -1. There's also that sequence too when there's someone in the train on Tokyo talking about, like, oh God, now we've had all these problems and now this giant thing could be headed this way. What would happen if it took over Tokyo? And then we all see what happens when it takes over Tokyo. But on the effects and not what I'm trying to practical effects. There we go. On the practical themselves, I love Godzilla. It's a design that still works. Again, it's a guy in a giant rubber suit. Who cares? There's a reason I think this version became immortal. You have these jagged dorsal plates, this heavy posture, massive tail. Everything about him feels powerful. And what's surprising,
so much texture to his suit as well.
There's a lot of texture in his suit. And
I think they're also really smart with how much they show him. Like even when he's fully in frame, they do a great job of lighting him so he still feels mysterious and dark, and you can't always quite get a good look at him.
I think the best scene that goes about what you're talking about is when he's coming up to the beach and they set up that electric fence, because really only like his face and chest are lit. Everything else is pretty dark. And then they flip on the switch to those electric fences and he's just like, fuck all these fences. That was a great scene. And they're also shooting all of these bombs and guns at him. I thought that was great. And for some reason I thought, I don't know, I've never seen the movie, but there's the iconic Godzilla roar that we hear. It's very distinct, and I thought that was going to be the only one that they used. But there was actually some pretty good variation in the roar itself. They had a few different kind of sounds that he would emit, and I was like, oh, it's not just the same thing over and over and over. I like how varied it felt. I wasn't expecting that. I thought it would be the same. Everybody, I'm sure I can find the sound effect. I'll throw it in here. And I figured it was going to be all that, but it's not like just the same stock sound. Someone's hitting the button on it. It feels like there's a emotion to it rather than just, oh, this is the stock sound. Like I was impressed by that a lot more than maybe I should be. I don't know, but I really loved the roar that he had going on. It was pretty fucking iconic for 1954.
Yeah. From what I've read, how they created that iconic sound was according to this interview for NPR. They said it was actually a double bass string that they used a leather glove coated in pine tar resin to create friction, and they'd rub it against the string of the double bass to create that sound.
That is interesting. And that's what I love about movies from, such an early time period, because they had to be so creative. Like, we don't just have a stock library sound, like we do now. They had to come up with this organically, and it's very interesting that people are just like fucking around like, oh, we did this. How did you get to the point where you were using pine tar on a bass string? I don't know, but we got it. And this is
if you want if anyone out there has the Star Wars box set, the Blu-ray that came out, years ago, cover of it has like Anakin on the cover and has like Darth Vader's shadow behind him. It's like the iconic box set. There's actually a lot of great special features on there with Ben Burt, who's their sound designer, who talks about how they created a lot of the iconic sounds in Star Wars. And it's a similar concept where they're just putting a bunch of weird sounds together and seeing what it sounds like.
Just fucking around.
The sound of the Wookiees is like a couple animals mixed together, and then they just pitch shift it. And it has nothing to do with Godzilla, but if you're interested in the world of sound in movies that you love, that's a good thing to check out.
I'm gonna have to see if I have that or find it, because I really want to know how they made the for Zabulba's pod racer, because that I feel like Ben Burt's on every single Star Wars commentary track. I wouldn't be surprised if he just talks about it. Perfect.
Commentary track.
Perfect. So even we mentioned the atomic breath. It is obviously less refined than later versions, but it's more
cool.
Still pretty cool. More radioactive mist than anything. It's not a focused laser beam.
I would not be surprised if there wasn't a conversation where being like, can we put a flamethrower in this suit? Well, the suit's rubber. Yeah, but I probably shouldn't. And the set's made of cardboard. Okay, probably shouldn't do that.
But it is, there's something about it that's unnatural. Like, it's toxic. It shouldn't exist. And boy, does he set a lot of shit on fire. A lot of shit. So I was really confused at first, though, because going back to that beach scene I was talking about, when he's coming on the beach and destroying all those electric fences, he blows the mist at the metal things, and they kind of just bend. And I was like, are they at first I thought they were freezing, and then they bent over, and I was like, okay, I guess that is fire or radioactive something.
Yeah. I was trying to figure out how they did that, because that's such a cool effect.
That was a cool effect.
Yeah.
It was really cool. There's only like, there was like one. Oh yeah. There was really only like one thing. It's not that it didn't work for me, but I was like, what was this for? And it's a train. Weirdly enough, as much as I like the train sequence, it was kind of strange because he comes ashore, wrecks a train, destroys a bridge, and then leaves. It's like something on a to-do list, like destroy train, check. Got bridge, check. Return to ocean, check. I was like, that was just a little strange. I just like, okay, are we done here? I guess maybe to
his madness,
a show of force, maybe, to show him what he's capable of. But other than that, I mean, that's really the only thing that I had a quote unquote issue with, because the oxygen destroyer was honestly. Man, when she got told that secret and she was like, I'm going to keep this secret, and then you actually get to know what that secret was about the oxygen destroyer and how he discovered this secret weapon of like taking out all the oxygen of water and everything and it dies, I was legitimately blown back in my seat. I was like, whoa, that was an incredibly cool reveal. Never saw that coming at all.
And I really like the human characters in this movie quite a bit. Like there is a bit of a love triangle going on, because Emiko is in love with Yamane, even though she's like engaged to Serizawa,
right? Or
is supposed to be in a relation. They don't. I feel like they kind of say it without saying it, because I feel like that it's the 50s, and I feel like they don't want to be like, well, they're having an affair.
Right? Yeah. Let's just kind of not address that.
But like Serizawa seems far more invested in his work and really rocking a killer eye patch.
Yes.
So he's just, but I also appreciate that, like, they could have went the melodramatic way and been like, what are you doing to my woman and shit like that. And it's not like they are still like, okay, we need to work together for this common cause. And like you said, when you mentioned Dr. Yamane, when he was like, like, we need to study this thing. I love that they all have these different perspectives. And I also love that Serizawa had this whole thing where he didn't want his weapon to fall into the wrong hands. So, he destroys all of his notes, and he ends up taking himself out with the oxygen destroyer, so that way no one can try to recreate this work. And it's, once again, going back to Godzilla -1, it feels very similar to our lead characters in that film, his whole journey of realizing and being comfortable with the idea that he might have to take his own life to destroy this thing. And that was really interesting, because like I said, Serizawa is not just taking his life just to destroy Godzilla, but it's also so that way no one else can try to recreate what he did. It feels very like Oppenheimer coded in that way.
Yeah, I really love that too, because he also he takes the plans or however he made it, throws it in the fire. And I like that. I really enjoyed that aspect of it, because he was smart enough to realize that in the wrong hands, this can do a lot of damage and devastation.
Especially if it's strong enough to destroy a monster like this. It's only a hop, skip, and a jump from being like, well, how do we use this to destroy our enemies?
Exactly. So that was a great plot point that I also enjoyed. There was just so many plot points that came up and plot devices that they used that I felt were just incredibly impressive for the time. And how they fit them into the story, it worked. None of it felt far-fetched. None of it felt like they were reaching. It all felt pretty grounded. I don't know how realistic the oxygen thing is, whatever. It's the science.
Cool.
It's a science fiction movie. We don't like it. Doesn't have. We're also fighting a giant radioactive fucking lizard, whatever. So it doesn't have to be that realistic. But it was.
It has like trilodites in its fucking footprints.
I love how they did find those, and they were like, "Oh, this is a species that's died millions of years ago." because he's supposed to be at this point they're making Godzilla out to be this ancient million-year-old creature, which is also pretty cool. But I think that's one of the smartest pieces of writing in the entire film is that whole sequence where they go to the flashback of her getting the secret, and then they flash back to the current the present time where he's telling them, and then they have that whole back and forth of wanting to use it, not wanting to use it, and then they eventually do use it. And the ending, it works, and I understand why it's important, but it just felt a little abrupt to me because the build-up to Godzilla's destruction is phenomenal, the sacrifice is meaningful, and the themes are powerful, but the actual defeat itself felt a little quicker than expected to me. But it's not like I'm gonna rate it less because of that.
I also wonder too if it's just how storytelling has changed, because you look at any screenwriting book, the third act is always the shortest. It's you're not really supposed to overstay your welcome, and so I think it's, and then also just these effects probably cost so much. They're we gotta fucking just tighten this shit up.
We got to just end this. So it's not something that took away from the movie. I was slightly underwhelmed, but then again, I had to remind myself this is 1954. Yeah.
I kind of had a similar moment because my Blu-ray player that I watch has the time on the front of the thing, so I can always see I'm 10 minutes in, I'm 15 minutes in, whatever.
Gotcha.
I knew this movie was an hour and 35 minutes, and I feel like we were an hour 20, hour 25, and I was we only got 10 minutes left, guys. What are we going to do here? And I've seen this movie before, and I just couldn't remember that they just did it. It was such a quick little thing. Yeah,
it was a pretty quick ending. And, it's not like it's a big deal. I feel like it does fit in with the story, even if it's slightly less exciting. But I was truly impressed with this movie. With the ratings going into this, I knew I would like it. I didn't feel like this was one of those times where people were just gassing this movie up because it's the original and nothing's going to compare. I think it does have the highest rating of all of them, probably. But maybe not Godzilla -1. I think Godzilla -1 has over a 4 because that movie is just so good. But this movie really surprised me, which is good because I had a feeling, sometimes you get feelings going into movies. I had a feeling that I might be underwhelmed by this. I'm underwhelmed by this. I want to like this movie, and then I ended up really loving it. And of course, at this point in time, I do feel like I've honed in on my rating for this movie because I can see myself returning to this time and time again because I really, really enjoyed just basically every aspect. Like I said, I had really 2 small problems, and they're not even problems that are big enough to dock the movie any points here. It's just my own I wish this was a little bit better, but you have to remind yourself this is a 72-year-old movie, so you got to give them a little slack in certain instances here.
And it will be interesting too if at any point you go back and rewatch Gareth Edwards' 2014 Godzilla, because I think he does a really interesting job. I don't think that movie works as well as this, but it is kind of interesting to see how he tries to keep that really micro scale. Because usually we only see Godzilla from the perspective of the people on the ground or from a distance. It's not like some of the later ones where we're following Godzilla. He is meant to feel like a force of nature in that film. And best of my memory, it's been a while since I've rewatched it, but I think he does it pretty well. It reminds me kind of the way that we saw the monster in Cloverfield, where we only got glimpses of it.
Yeah, okay. And I'm saving Shin Godzilla because I still haven't seen that one, and I've heard it is very good. So I plan to kind of work my way through some of the well-known titles of kaiju because I've seen a few here and there, but I really haven't dived into them. I've got 4 or 5 double features that I bought specifically for this month. That I'm just going to kind of watch throughout and just get a feel for them. But I'm also going to watch movies that I haven't seen, kind of revisit the MonsterVerse and stuff like that. But my final thoughts here, Godzilla is not just the beginning of a franchise. I also think it's the beginning of an icon, It's a film that uses a giant monster uses giant monster destruction to tell a story about trauma, responsibility, and the consequences of technological arrogance. The effects are still impressive. The mystery works. The themes remain powerful, and Godzilla remains one of the greatest creatures ever to be put on film. Final thoughts from you on Godzilla here before we move on.
I think Godzilla is an incredible film, and if there's people out there who aren't necessarily sold on the franchise because they've seen some of the goofier things that would happen with the franchise later on, because Godzilla eventually does become kind of a kid's property.
It does.
And while I love those as well, if I highly recommend you check this out. And if you are new to the Godzilla world because of Godzilla -1 and just the absolute success of that, I do recommend going back and checking this film out, because kind of referencing a rant that Austin was making earlier, where there's always this interesting, what's the word I'm looking for? Split between Godzilla fans.
Dichotomy, is that it?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
There's a split between Godzilla fans where they're like, and Star Wars fans, where they're always like, this is what Godzilla should be. No, this is what Godzilla should be.
Yes.
Funny enough, I think they're all right. They're all correct. For people who want a more serious-minded Godzilla, like you have in this original film, there are films that give you that.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you want something a little bit more silly, like Son of Godzilla, or All Monsters Attack, you have that as well. And I do think the MonsterVerse are kind of giving us some of that sillier elements as well. So there is something to love for everyone in the world of Godzilla, and Godzilla is here to be loved.
I 100% agree with all of that. There it is, Godzilla from 1954. Let's go to the final cut. All right, so you actually already brought up this trivia, so kudos to you about the animal roars, rubbing coarse vein resin-coated leather glove up and down the strings of a contrabass, yeah. One of the most famous legends regarding the production of this film has director Ishiro Honda and special effects director Eiji Tsubaraya on the observation deck of one of Tokyo's buildings. They were planning Godzilla's path of destruction when visitors were on the deck, overheard their conversation, and became concerned. The pair was stopped by authorities and questioned. The film's opening scene was inspired by the real life. Oh, there you go. Lucky Dragon number 5. That's what it was. You mentioned that in the beginning. You gave me that name in the beginning, where the crew and the catch of a Japanese fishing boat contaminated by radioactive fallout from the United States Castle Bravo hydrogen bomb test. This event generated much controversy in Japan, especially after the death of the ship's radio man, Kuboyama Aikicha. And then two fun little facts about two directors. Director George Lucas cites this film's miniatures as an inspiration for his special effects in the Star Wars films. Mm-hmm. And director John Carpenter is a fan of this film and has said, I first saw Godzilla in 1956 at the tender age of 8. Something about the film filled me with somber dread, not the monster destroying Tokyo, but the overall tone and underlying sadness, a sense of grief and horror. Japan is the only nation to suffer atomic bombs dropped on 2 of its cities, and Godzilla gave powerful expression to this emotion, ambience disguised as a giant monster movie. So look at you, John Carpenter. Goofs.
One of the few times he had something nice to say.
Right, one of the few, yeah, because he's curmudgeon-y, but I get it. You know,
he just wants to sit home, watch basketball, and play fucking video games.
Play fucking video games.
Maybe go on tour and play some music once in a while.
I do need to see him live still.
It's worth it.
So there are some petty goofs, some funny goofs, and then one accurate goof. So I got a mix here. I got a really good mix here.
Okay.
A machine or device that is made to destroy the free oxygen in water, since water is 88% oxygen by volume, would just leave its marine life inhabitants suffocated, not disintegrated into skeletons. And since Godzilla can breathe underwater, all he would have to do is hold his breath and swim to the surface, which obviously, with obvious unfortunate consequences for the ship above. 2 that are just funny. In one scene in the film, the Godzilla suit is actually set fire due to the pyrotechnics used in it. Before the scene ends, the actor inside the suit is seen waving his arm around trying to put out the fire.
Oh no.
And then when the jets attack Godzilla as he is walking out to sea after destroying Tokyo, the missiles they fire at him can be seen bouncing off the sky backdrop. And then an accurate one, apparently. Tribulate did not live during the Jurassic period. 199.6 million years ago to 145.5 million years ago. They lived in the Cambrian period, 538.8 million years ago to 458.4 million years ago. The Permian period, to the Permian period. So I guess that was wrong. And then apparently they say that the Jurassic period was 2 million years ago, and that is actually off by 143.5 million years.
Come on, guys, get good.
Rated 7.6 out of 10 on IMDb for our purposes of the Nightmare Index. That is a 3.8 out of 5. Has a 4.1 on the Letterboxd, 94% on the Tomato Meter, and an 89% audience score. Michael, what do we have for a rating on Godzilla?
So originally I had it at 4.5, but I've actually since upgraded it to a full on 5.
All right, so you've got a 5. I've got a 4.5. This is gonna be a good one. So that gives us a Nightmare Index of 4.35, which means this is tied for second place with Dawn of the Dead at a 4.35 as well. And that also means this is a Frightmare certified slap. So let's see here. Similar movies according to IMDb. We have Godzilla Raids Again, Mothra vs. Godzilla, Ghidorah, the three-headed monster, King Kong versus Godzilla, and Invasion of the Astro Monster. Similar movies according to Letterboxd, because all of the related films are basically everything in the eras before. So these are just other things. So we have Godzilla King of the Monsters from 2019, Godzilla -1, Shin Godzilla, Godzilla from 1998, and then there's a Godzilla from 1985. I don't know about that one, but then that's what I've got. Let's do some funny reviews and get the fuck out of here.
Okay. You want to go first or should I?
Yeah. Let me see. I've got 5. How many do you have?
I've got a couple extras in case we have the same ones.
All right. So why don't you go first then, since you've got some extras?
All right. This is probably going to be the low-hanging fruit because I think it was the highest one on here. Patrick Williams says, I wonder if Oppenheimer ever watched Godzilla.
Yeah, that's the one I had. But you gave me the highest one last time, so I had to give it to you this time. 4 stars from Rambo. Why doesn't anyone ever listen to the prophecies of doom from the old guy with the 1,000-yard stare?
Exactly. All right. I'm going to go with some of the lower reviews I have.
Okay.
Actually, no, this one's funny. This one is just by someone named Mad. And they gave it 4 stars and a heart. Smokes a big fat blunt. The real Godzilla was U.S. all along. Crazy.
Let's see. I have 3 stars from John. I couldn't stop calling Godzilla a girl boss for the entire runtime, and then they have like the slant face with like the eyes and the slanted mouth.
Yep. All right. So I always like to try to find a couple bad reviews.
Yeah, let's hear them.
This one was by Mick, M-I-K, half star. You're all joking yourselves. In the words of my BF's 95-year-old grandmother, is that his belly button?
Did he have a belly button?
Apparently.
All right. Let's see here. 3 stars from Jay Shmoney, who's clearly gotta be a Gen Z. Just catching up on my Fortnite lore. Jesus Christ.
All right, this one was from Helps BM or Help SBM. 1 star.
Ooh.
I'm going to get hate for this, but I still can't watch old movies. I'm too brain rotted for them. Forgive me, cinephiles.
This one is just a quote from the movie, but I love it because it hit me so hard. 4.5 stars from Thel. Godzilla was baptized in the fire of an H-bomb and survived. What could kill it now? And that was a very, very accurate question from the movie.
All right, I got 2 more.
Go for it.
All right, I got Kaylee's 1 star. No, Godzilla, don't die. You're so sexy.
Oh, there's an entire fandom out there who gets kinky, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, what's your last one?
All right. Emma Stefanski. No rating. An important detail that modern Godzilla movies always get wrong is that Godzilla actually has tiny little ears.
I didn't notice the ears or the belly button. Now I got to rewatch it. Oh no. Oh, by the way, I watched this on the Criterion 4K that you can get. I believe there's also a Blu-ray version. The version I have on Criterion is the biggest, chunkiest Criterion box that I currently own. So you can get that.
I have the Criterion box of the entire Showa era that doesn't even fit on a shelf because it's the size of a fucking book.
Oh, that's amazing.
Have you seen that box?
I have seen that. I don't know if I saw it when I was up there, but I know what it looks like.
Yeah.
The two box sets I do have are both Gamera because I love them, and they are the Showa era and the I already forgot how to pronounce it. Heisei era. So there you go.
I don't have either of those two, and I feel like the first Gamera set's out of print already.
That's my favorite. It's like I know I said Rodan and Ghidorah are my favorite, but I have a soft spot for Gamera or Gamera. So if you enjoy the show, please rate and review on your favorite podcast app of choice. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Slasher, Threads, and YouTube at Frightmares Podcast. Our email is stayspooky@outlook.com. If you want to follow me on Letterboxd, you can find me at Dr. Proctor, all one word. Michael is Vyers102008. And where can people hear the sultry sound of your voice on your podcast?
Right. You can find me at the Shameless Picture Show. We are also a member of the Someone's Favorite Productions Podcast Network, along with a bunch of other fantastic shows. You can find us on all forms of anywhere you get your podcast. We're on Apple, we are on Spotify, we are now on YouTube, which we're actually doing better on YouTube than I thought we were going to, which is kind of cool. It's a good time.
It is a good time.
Oh, and you can find me at pretty much my name anywhere, Michael_Vyers or Shameless Picture Show.
Yep, where he talks about aspect ratios more than anybody on TikTok. So make sure you go watch all of his content. If you'd like to expand your movie podcast listening, be sure to check out the Shameless Picture Show, as I say every week, the Dead-Eyed Millennial Film Club, and One Week Rental as well. Next week, Corey and I will be doing Godzilla versus Space Godzilla from 1994 as our deep cut pick because I have not heard of that one, and I've heard of a lot of kaiju films. It's streaming on Tubi, if you'd care to check it out. So look at me go. This is like 3 weeks in a row where I've picked a movie that's actually streaming, and this just sounds like it's going to be one of the wackier kaiju films. It's also part of the Millennium? No, not the Millennium era, the Heisei era. So it'll be a little different, a little whatever. I'm sure this one's going to be a lot more goofy. But anyways, I'm rambling at this point. Until then, guys, stay tuned and stay spooky.
Thank you for listening. To hear more shows from the Someone's Favorite Productions Podcast Network, please select the link in the description